Dude, it's good to see you, man. It's been a minute.
It's been a little while. You
Yes,
look like
yes.
you have the American flag in the background.
This is the hotel room,
Yeah.
and this is their art, the Cascade in Kansas City. It's pretty nice. They have this water theme, so everything is like blue. But it's all good. Yeah, yeah, dude. It has been, I don't know how long it's been since we've last talked. You got a lot going on, man. You were just on a 1 month tour in Europe,
A one
right?
month tour, a whole month, 30 days.
Have
September
mercy.
28th.
And you got back. You recently memorialized your father
Yep. That was on Sunday.
Sunday. I think Arya started school
But yeah, Carly's back at school.
and Car
Ari's
yep.
in
And
first grade. So
yes, yes. So you're
jumped
doing
right in as soon as we came back.
have mercy. My goodness. And then you got, I know we talked about your other ministry, your divorce recovery ministry. That's happening. And you're about to head off again this week, right?
Yeah, we got it's probably about 3 more days, but we have to go to Florida, Orlando. Then we have to go out to Gardena, California.
My goodness, goodness.
So it's just 3 days. It's not a month.
Yeah,
Not
but
more
I mean, when
than
you add all that stuff up, it's a lot, and so I definitely appreciate you taking some time to talk.
absolutely, man.
But
Anytime.
how are you doing? How is Joey Kibble doing?
I am. I say it all the time. I'm blessed. I got a great balance of victories and a great balance of trials, so that
Yeah,
you don't get too pumped up or pushed down on either side.
just kind of balances
But
itself out.
yep, balances it out. With father passing, and it's been since May actually.
Hmm.
I can say this: it's easier to do a memorial service because you can make that, schedule it at whatever time, essentially.
Hmm.
But different people need different things with closure. So
Yes,
even
yes.
amongst the three of us as siblings, we have different levels and different time periods of closure. So it's still, as you know, an ongoing thing.
Yeah,
You know, the
yeah.
healing process with that, loss, what you learn from it, what's going to be your legacy. Uh,
Hmm.
so it's there's a lot to think about, but we've
Yeah.
had a little time to think about it. And the whole month we were in Europe, that gives you more time to think.
My goodness.
Great
Yeah,
thinking time.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's always, it's always bittersweet. I was just at a memorial service this weekend as well for my godfather, and it's always nice when you connect with family and friends and see
Yep,
them, and you celebrate a life, that meant something, that was well lived.
yep,
So,
yep.
bittersweet always, but
That's right.
yeah,
That's right.
man. So that's good, man. Listen, last time we talked
Mm.
with your prostate cancer workup that you had done a biopsy, we done sort of this workup and it came back hallelujah negative,
Right.
which doesn't mean you're out of the woods. It just means, keep an eye on things and monitor things. And so we did some additional testing. It looked like your genetic markers were predisposing you
Mm.
perhaps to cancer on a subsequent biopsy. You kind of had to process that a little bit, and I mean, just talk to people about sort of going through that, having that sort of feeling of relief, and then kind of, I'm still not out of the woods yet.
Hmm. So once we got the all clear, I was just, I was just thankful to have a clean slate.
Hmm.
Um, the issue was that, and I probably didn't want to visit it again. Like,
Right.
okay, we've been through enough. We're past that. But when I went back for a checkup, maybe a year later, the, my number went up again. It wasn't as elevated,
Hmm.
but it was elevated again to cause enough of a question, like, okay, what's going on? And the first thing I thought was, okay, we didn't see anything as far as prostate is concerned. I wonder if that means that it's cancer somewhere else, and maybe that's what the number is now. you being a urologist, maybe you can explain it. Sometimes will your PSA go up because cancer is somewhere else in your body, or is it just measuring what's in the prostate?
So, yeah, that's a good question. So PSA is a blood test. It stands for prostate specific antigen. So it's a protein
That
that's
answers that.
produced. So
Not an
it is a
LSA, which is lung, and yeah.
so it is specific to the prostate. So it does indicate if there's something going on with the prostate in particular. So it doesn't tell you about colon cancer or any other cancer. It just tells you specifically about prostate cancer. So that
So
level was up.
for the layman's
Hmm.
questions, so that if I, God forbid, had colon cancer,
Hmm.
would my PSA still be a normal number if there was no prostate cancer?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, okay.
Yep. The
Well, that
two
was
are
one of the
not related.
questions that we had because we didn't really understand that. But
Yes.
as you're saying, it was relegated to the prostate area.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so it sounded like there were more questions. Of course, the emotional state was, man, I don't feel like having to deal with this again. I thought we were all clear, and I just wanted to stick with that last situation. You asked me though if I wanted to take a look at it on the genetic level because you still had the samples. You keep the samples for an amount of time. I guess it was 18 months. I
Hmm.
think is what you said. And so I figured, you know what? Since you have them, let's just go ahead and run a test. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to hear any bad news, but at least let's go run the test since I don't have to give any more.
Correct.
'Cause that
That
biopsy can be a beast.
that's
So we ran the
that's a
numbers.
that's an important point. You don't have to do anything else
Right,
to get that
right.
genetic test.
You're
Yeah.
right. If you have been traumatized by the by the biopsy process, then no, you don't have to, and that was good.
Come
Uh,
on now, man. Was it that traumatic
well,
initially?
this time,
Initially.
so okay, let's be honest. So this time, no,
Okay.
because the biopsy, I was out this time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The second time, we'll get to that. Put a little
We'll get
marker there.
there. Yeah.
And so the genetic test that came back pointing to, hey, there's some markers where, as you exclaimed, there were some hot spots.
Mhm.
So then you wanted to do another biopsy targeting specifically those hot spots.
Yeah.
And so we this time, because I was traveling from out of town and I did need to turn around and go right back, I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and do local anesthesia, I guess is what it
Yeah.
was.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so everybody's asking me, you sure you want to drive back? And I was like, hey, no, look, the last time we did this, I was, it was aching, but I was okay.
Yeah.
This time it was different because I was awake
Mhm.
and I could, while that area was deadened and while there was not any, as you described, nerve endings necessarily in the prostate, you could feel other things like pressure of the
Mm.
scope
Mhm.
going
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
or the tube that the scope is in.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so the good thing was, though, that you and your assistant were talking through the whole time.
Mhm.
So saying, hey, so now we're about to insert the scope and now we're about to take a sample. And you especially mentioned you're going to hear the sound of the clip. That doesn't mean that you're feeling anything, but hearing the clip sound
Yep.
can cause your mind to think, oh no, that was pain. I felt
Yeah.
pain. But you did talk through that, and that was good
Yes.
because it helped me in that uncomfortable state to know what's coming next. And
Yes.
that was important.
Let's pause for a second. Let's just explain exactly what happened
Let's
there
do that.
because as opposed to your first biopsy experience where it was under anesthesia, you weren't awake for any of it. You don't remember any of it. You were fully awake for this when it was done under local, like you said. We inserted an ultrasound probe into the rectum to see the prostate. That's the only way that you can see the prostate. And that's also the way that you can numb, anesthetize the prostate through that probe. And so there's a long needle that we use that goes through a needle guide. You didn't see that part.
No, no, I didn't.
You
I
didn't
could
see
see
that
it in my
part.
spirit. I could see it in my mind's eye. I saw exactly what it looked like. No, go ahead.
Have mercy. So so then what we do is there's these anatomical markers that are by the prostate that we use to do a nerve block of the prostate, essentially, on both sides of the prostate. So did you feel that? Could you feel the needle when we were doing the anesthesia, the local anesthesia? Could you feel that part?
I felt something, but it wasn't pronounced.
Okay.
But you're kind of ultra sensitive up
Yes.
here in your
Yes.
head.
Yes.
So anything that you're feeling, it's like, felt that,
Yep.
but it doesn't feel like if you've been stuck in the arm with a needle or something like that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, it's just a sensation there. So we numb things up. We measure and take pictures, and then we do a systematic biopsy. It's usually a set of 12, 6 on each side.
Yeah.
Was it 12 and a half? Yeah, maybe one of them didn't
Because
take.
I promise you, I was counting.
I'm sure you were. Have mercy. So yeah, and so the biopsy, we don't like to call it a gun, the biopsy device.
I'm glad
Uh
you didn't say that then,
yes.
because I don't want a gun
No one gun shooting you
aimed shooting.
in the rear. Uh,
Right.
it's great that we can laugh about this. But so yeah,
Isn't
so
it?
then you hear the clicking noise, and I always let people know ahead of time because it is startling to hear that clicking sound. And even though you don't feel it, it's not painful, your brain automatically it's anticipating the pain, and it's like you jump. And I try to encourage people not to jump because we got a needle in you, so please don't jump when you hear it. And it does take some discipline, but when after I think I've not experienced myself, but after having experienced the click and feeling it, does that kind of put you at ease? Like, okay, not bad.
Relatively, it can put you at ease. You should try it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting experience. we can work that out. We can get that scheduled. So
You
yeah,
wanna pay that.
it's an experience, but it definitely helps to know what's about to happen,
Mhm.
because I can still be uncomfortable,
Sure.
but it helps to know, hey, this is coming. Okay, there it is.
Yep.
Okay, here's the nut. We're about to. Okay, here it is, so
Yep.
that you know what to expect. Well, that makes all the difference.
Yeah, and I think the key is to try to relax to the extent that you can, because if you're all tense, it
Yeah,
kinda makes it worse. But,
yeah, yeah. So
so we go through the 12 and a half biopsies. Who's counting?
let's slow that down, because
Okay.
you try to rush through the 12. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes,
Go
go
through the
ahead.
12 disciples. You got to figure out every personality as you're going through. They all not the same.
True,
Um,
true.
there were, while sometimes I felt pressure,
Mhm.
heard the noise, there were two that I actually did feel. Um,
Mm.
and I don't know if that particular area was, don't want to say swollen because I don't know what it looked like, but I did feel two of them.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. Actually, so there are 3 different zones that we biopsy: the base, the mid, and the apex of the prostate. The apex is kind of the tip closest to the pelvis. And so that apical region is the most sensitive region for whatever reason. So that's not uncommon to feel that sensation there. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, by the time we got to 9, 10, 11, 12, I was like, man, let's go ahead and finish this
Be
up.
done. Let's be
So
done.
we were done. That particular ride home was different,
Dude.
because not because, I have some tolerance to pain, but I think I had a little vegan cookie as
Mm.
I was eating, and I think the sugar content
Mhm.
might
Yeah.
have caused the
Inflammation.
inflammation that
Mhm.
might not otherwise have been.
Yeah.
But this time when I went back home, I was like, oh man, let me step on the gas because this is.
And
So I
I'm
really
gonna
felt the aching. That didn't happen the first time.
I'm just gonna just explain how hard-headed you are, man, because everybody, Tina, we
Look,
all were like, dude, don't drive home.
okay, so
Don't
you're
drive. It's
talking.
like three. How long is it from Asheville to Nashville?
It was
It's
like
five.
4.5 hours.
Yes.
So it's not just hard hit. You're talking to a triathlete,
Oh,
which
okay.
you know that whatever you do involves discomfort and pain. So
Ah,
it's like, oh, I'll just push through.
okay. Uh-huh.
But and I would have rested there, but I had to go out of town, like not the next day, but the day after. So I needed the day to try to pack and get out of town.
Mm,
I couldn't sit there. I didn't feel like I could sit there and chill and then have to rush once I got back with only a few hours. That's why
yeah.
I made the decision.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
but
is. It is.
yeah, yeah.
But eventually, because you almost had to call in something on the way back at a random drugstore, but it began to ease up like as I was getting back. But I guess maybe, I don't know, but maybe the sugar had metabolized, it was metabolizing through. But
Yeah.
while I was processing that in my stomach, I mean, like the aching was incredible. So,
That is now
oh,
that
we're
is a
right there.
word. That is a word because a lot of people don't understand how sugar
Yeah,
is a pro-inflammatory. So if you have arthritis, if you have something that's inflamed, anything aching, if you have
right.
a cold, sugar is like the worst thing to
Yeah,
do because it just flares that
yeah.
thing up and makes it worse. So,
Just because I had a
yeah.
vegan cookie did not
Th-
dismiss the sugar
No,
content.
no.
So maybe I didn't have to deal with dairy, but that
Right.
sugar inflamed it, and
Yes.
I have a lesson I won't forget about that.
Yes. Yes. So then you go off out of town,
Yep.
right?
So interestingly, the results came back amazingly fast,
Mm.
amazingly fast, and you were expedient about getting back to me. And it turned out that I had, as you said, it was a low grade cancer,
Mhm.
which in two of the spots, I think it was less than, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but was it less than 5%?
Percent. Mhm.
Okay, so I don't remember what the actual number was, but it was
I don't
less than
remember.
5% in two places.
Mhm.
And so we had to go through the emotions of that.
Sure,
I
sure.
especially having gotten a clean slate
Mhm.
on the regular biopsy,
Mhm. Mhm.
sometimes you like, man, did I have to keep pushing it to see what was on
Yeah.
the genetic level? But ultimately, it was better that we know. It was better
Yeah.
that we understand um, that, okay, it's a low grade. And you said something interesting. If you have cancer at all, this is the best condition to have because it was so low grade that any talk of treatment would actually do more damage than it would help. And so the good news about it was that this is going to be something that we observe
Yes. Yes.
because it's not high enough so
Correct.
that it requires treatment.
Correct.
And so
And this
it
is
took a couple of days to really just think about it and
mhm.
accept it and say, okay, you know what? Let's move with this. Let's
Mhm.
move with this. Because what I'm going to do is while it's on observation and I'm on observation mode,
Mhm.
I'm going to do everything that I can to incorporate foods that have cancer killing properties
Mhm.
or
What
cancer. Go ahead.
and I do wanna get into that because that's important 'cause, food is healing, but I do want to this is a really good point to pause to explain why all prostate cancer doesn't need to be treated and why all prostate cancer is not created equal. Okay.
Right.
So what you had, and like I said, this is the best. If you're gonna have it, this is what you want to have, right?
Mhm.
Because it's low grade, meaning it's not aggressive, doesn't grow fast. and it's low volume disease. So you don't have a lot of it. You got to touch of prostate cancer. I mean, if
Right.
it's like, it's not like you got to touch of pregnancy, but you have it, that is known, but what you have is not life threatening.
Right.
And that's the key.
Right.
And what we know about low grade disease is that it does not metastasize.
Right.
So it literally is like a chronic disease. And when your cancer is that low volume, it's a wonder we found a great thing we did, but clinically it's not even significant. You don't feel it, you don't have any symptoms from it. There's no, other than mental, if you can get past the mental part of it, because the C word, we just assume, the worst when we hear the C word,
Right. Right. Right.
right?
So, as a man of faith, um, here is the conclusion that I came to. I'd asked for a clean slate, and I had gotten what I felt was a clean slate before. Now I'm given this, which is not exactly a clean slate, but it's a good scenario according to, in its own genre.
Hmm.
And I concluded, you know what? I know he heard the prayer. I know I have, claimed promises. And the situation that he has given me in this is better than the clean slate I was asking for.
Talk about it. What way?
Because sometimes it's better to know you have a propensity towards something.
Hmm.
So let's change the lifestyle so
Hmm.
that it does not support the growth of whatever that condition is.
Wow.
Which is,
Wow.
if I'd have just gone on with the clean slate,
Mhm.
I'm thinking I do anything, eat anything, take anything because I don't have anything. But
Right.
sometimes the people who know, okay, you know what, I have an emotional bent towards depression. Let me now do some things that will cause me to get to the bottom of non-chemical depression or to the bottom of chemical depression,
Mhm.
so that the end result is I'm creating a situation that now is, it acknowledges there is a condition, but because now of the proactivity of how I change my diet, how I watch what it is that I'm doing, how I get more exercise now, how
Mm.
I'm not going to create an environment where cancer can thrive or grow, it's
Mhm.
actually producing more benefit.
Yes.
And I
Wow.
say this carefully, but it produces more benefit than if I had nothing at all, or if I
Mhm.
didn't see the genetic results of the test
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
just rested with, the clear biopsy results that I got the first time.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes sense?
Yeah. No, what I'm hearing is that you have a renewed focus and you are eating and doing things intentionally with
Right,
a purpose.
right.
It's sort of focused your life and your lifestyle to do everything that you can to just be in the best health that you can be in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so that causes everything to change, really,
Right.
right? Your
Which
first of it,
strangely
it's your
is
mind
it's a
first.
better result, it's a better place to be in many regards than
Mm.
having no situation at all and thinking I can consume whatever I want to because
Wow,
there's
wow,
nothing there.
wow, wow.
But
Yeah.
just our talk about sugar,
Yes,
now that I
yes.
know that, and I know that diseases tend to thrive a little bit more in an environment that's just overly processed and overly sugared,
Mhm.
this situation actually is better for me because now I'm mindful of whatever I'm eating.
Yes.
I'm mindful of anything that could act. So let's go from here to the fact that essentially I had to transition to a local urologist here
Mhm.
in Nashville. Now, emotionally, I wasn't looking forward to it. And my concern was, and I think it's important to mention this, my concern was I don't want some tut happy. let's take it out, cut it up, take it out, take all it.
Right.
I wanted to keep as much of my equipment as possible.
Right.
And some of the misconception was that there are doctors out there that are just waiting to, hey, you got a little bit, let's put it all
Yeah.
out, put it all out. Whatever side effects, fine. But
Mm.
I wanted to know that I had a doctor that we could agree on the process of how to move forward.
Mhm.
And so there were three. My wife and I talked a lot about it, and we decided to go ahead and just interview the three of them, go visit, see what your philosophy is, see what
Mhm.
the approach is. And so the first one that we came to visit, we it's funny because Dr. Q has a great bedside manner. He'll be joking with you while he's taking samples from you. He talking to his assistant like they had lunch. But there are some doctors that don't have that bedside manner.
Mm.
We got the one that did not have
Oh.
any bedside manner. But watch how this worked out. This is a guy that gets straight to the point.
Mm.
Like he's not even trying to
No
establish
small talk.
rapport for you, but
Yeah.
he's so problem or not problem, but uh, focused on solving the problem that he's not really focused on the interaction that leads up to solving the problem. So
Right.
when he came in, it's like we waited a long time, but when he came in, he was just like, "I've seen your papers. I've seen what's happened. Let me just explain it this way. I got about 9, 10 people who have the same condition you have. But because you have a situation that we're observing and that it doesn't need actual treatment, that's going to do a lot more harm. We're going to be observing this, and all 9 or 10 of those people are doing great. None of
Mm.
their conditions have spread. They haven't
Mhm.
metastasized. They're all doing great. And I expect the same thing from you. And essentially, here's the thing: stay away from anything that is going to mess with your hormones, like
Mm.
testosterone therapy,
Mhm.
that could cause it to suddenly activate, or a lot of dairy that
Mm.
could cause it to suddenly activate, or let's stay away from the things that would make changes in your hormones that will cause changes in the actual condition.
Let me just say one thing about that because,
I
um
want y'all to fight.
yeah.
No, go ahead.
Because I do have patients who have low testosterone who I do supplement, and that has been a sea change. That has been a paradigm shift in the urology community. We used
Mm,
to never, ever even think about treating someone with low T who has prostate cancer. But what we know is that being in a normal range of testosterone, having a normal range of testosterone, does not make it worse. Okay.
okay.
Now, if you're abusing testosterone, if you're trying to get to be He-Man, superhero, whatever, that can be an issue. But having a normal testosterone, if you think about it, it makes sense. When are our testosterone levels the highest? They're the highest when we're in our teens, 20s.
Mhm,
There's absolutely no prostate cancer during that time. You don't
mhm,
see prostate cancer. But when are the levels the lowest? They're lower when you are in your 50s, 60s, and that's when we start to see the prevalence of prostate cancer. So
right.
there's no direct correlation um, to. So all I'm saying is, if you have a normal testosterone level, that's great, and there's nothing wrong with doing things to be in a normal range.
Mhm,
It will not, particularly with low grade disease. Now, that's something different if you have intermediate or high grade disease. I would counsel you differently. But
mm.
because you have the low grade disease, I would say there's nothing wrong with having a normal testosterone, doing what you can to have a normal testosterone. But go ahead.
Okay, so now, and this is interesting because I'm sure different physicians have different opinions and approaches.
Hmm.
Okay, so for somebody who's coming to understand it, like I'm glad you're coming to understand this cutting edge information that seems to have just different approaches that seem to have just come out. For
It's
somebody who does not want to trigger the low grade to anything more. It's a natural reaction though to play it safe. You see what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
How do you speak to the client who's like, okay, yeah, I want to be in normal levels, but I don't want to do something that's going to trigger a change
Yeah.
so that it starts growing.
Yeah. So I would say probably two things. One is that, there are additional genetic studies you can get on your low grade disease to see if you have a predisposition, genetic predisposition to developing a higher grade of cancer. And we do have those studies. Okay. And so, that's something that I don't know if we've done that or if he's done that, but that's something that I recommend to know if your low grade is truly low grade because you're in your genetic code, you also may have a predisposition to having higher. Because remember, prostate cancer is not like a focus of cancer that grow like you can have multifocal disease. You can have a Gleason 6 over here, you can have a Gleason 7 pop over here and 8, you can have multiple different ones, right? And so we have the tools now to determine if your genetic code is going to be consistent with you developing a higher grade disease later on. Number 2, and so that is added information that you can use to say, am I really at risk,
Hmm.
genetically
Hmm.
to have a higher grade. The other thing is really you want to stay that the main thing is you want to reduce the amount of free radicals
Mm.
and inflammation in your body. Okay,
Right.
because that's free radicals. Those are the elements that actually destabilize DNA,
Mm.
right? And
Okay.
when you have destabilization, when you have mutations of genes and DNA, that's how cancer can propagate and
Okay.
come about, right? And
Okay.
so free radicals, there are things in your diet we talk about like sugar, we talk about processed foods, we talk about fried foods, smoking.
Mm.
That's a huge source of free radicals.
Mm.
And the best thing you can do to counteract the free radicals is to load yourself up with antioxidants,
Right.
right?
Right.
And we talk about that. And I think I mean, naturally, you're taking, the berries, right? All the
Mm.
raspberries, the strawberries, all the antioxidants. There's actually those are rich in bioflavonoids. Same thing with dark chocolate. It actually has healing properties with the antioxidants. But any
Right.
fruit and vegetable will have some degree of
Right. Right.
antioxidants, right? Green tea is one of the highest levels of antioxidants that you can take in, and that's kind of why I loaded up my formula, the Natural Lead Man, with
Mm.
all those antioxidants because it
Okay.
stabilizes your cells, it stabilizes your DNA, protein, all
Mm.
that, right? So
Mm.
that's what you want.
Okay. Good. Well, that's helpful information because then I can start looking for things that are high in antioxidants,
Hmm.
so that when I'm making these dietary changes, those are the things that I'm now focused on.
Yes.
And if I know that these situations create more free radicals, it's like, okay,
No.
we're trying to stay away from that. That's
Yes.
why I say to have this situation and compared to, yeah, a clean slate,
Hmm.
one would think, oh no, I choose a clean slate. And I can't say that I wouldn't choose the clean slate again if I had to go through it again.
Hmm.
But now to have more knowledge about it
Hmm.
actually produces a better result, which is now I understand about free radicals, now I understand about antioxidants, now I understand about the foods that are rich in it, and I can make those decisions. And because we hit it early,
Hmm.
I have more options.
Hmm.
I guess one of the main things is I don't want to know about it. I'm not going to say anything until I see blood in the urine or I see some other sign. But at that point, the longer you tend to wait, the
Hmm.
less options you have as
This is
time goes
true.
on.
This is true. This is true. Even though it pains you to think about going through that process again, it's so helpful to know what you're dealing with. It doesn't do you any good to put your head in the sand,
Right.
because there are things that you can do. And it's not like you're an example that all cancer is not life threatening and you can actually live and have, you can't transfer it to anybody. It is subclinical. So I wonder how it's, because another thing that can feed into cancer is stress and your immune system.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the lifestyle changes that you've incorporated to reduce stress and boost your immune system?
Sleep.
I was
Besides,
hoping you would say
because
that. I was hoping you would say that.
oh
Good.
man.
Yes, talk
Oh,
about it.
and because I train a lot, I get up early because
Mhm,
I have to get. Usually, I'd have to get my training done before my family gets up. Because once they're up, I have less opportunities to get back and to do my work.
mhm.
But when you understand that the body is being created to be able to heal itself and created to provide itself with everything that it needs, and again, that's why my faith plays into it.
Mhm.
If I have a situation that replenishes my body's immune system,
Yes.
where it purges my body of cells, dead cells, and
Toxins.
cells that are not functional, why wouldn't I put my body in a position to gain the most advantage from that? And one
Yes.
of those things is sleep.
Yes.
And so in the last month, 2 months, 3 months, I've actually been trying to increase my sleep level, my amount of sleep.
What are you getting
I
to
would
now?
normally get between 5 and 7.
Mhm.
Now I'm really trying to get to like 8 hours of sleep,
Wow, that's
which means
awesome.
I'm gonna have to go to bed earlier.
Earlier. Mhm.
But think about if you believe that between the hours of 8 and 12, if you're on that normal, if you're on that kind of schedule, that most of the cell repair is happening in the first 4 hours. Now I don't know if you subscribe, you can weigh in. I'm trying to get to that part that's most empowering.
Yes,
And
yes.
uh, so
Yeah,
go ahead.
no, no, they're I've, they're sleep researchers that there's a certain thing between 10 and 4, that they say, if you can be asleep between those hours, 10 and 4,
Yep.
that has the most impact, even greater than getting extra sleep for whatever I don't know if the science is really clear on why that is, but between 10 and 4, something about the circadian rhythm, but it's got to be you've got to get into that quality sleep, right? That
So
REM
let me
sleep.
ask then,
Mhm.
it happen according to what you've studied in the hours of deep sleep, or is it said to happen in the hours of REM? What have you heard,
Yeah,
and according to your study?
it's the REM sleep that is the most restorative, and that's when it turns on. We talk about this before, the lymphatic system. It's the power washing system in your brain that just powers washes all the neurotoxins and flushes things out, and that's helps with brain fog in the morning. But it does something to that regulates the hypothalamus, and that's a hormone regulating gland. So, and that's one of the reasons why when you get good sleep, your testosterone levels go up
Ah,
during sleep,
got it.
right?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
So that's
and it reduces cortisol levels, right, which is the stress hormone, right? And if we're walking around here sleep deprived, we are stressing ourselves out, and stress just weakens your body to attacks, right, of cancer, of colds, of illnesses in general.
right. So now I'm realizing that this is an investment. This health
Mm-mm.
situation is an investment
I love it. I love it.
because I want to be in the best health. I'm not
Yes.
sticking my head in the sand anymore. I'm
Hmm.
trying to take advantage of all of that. So I'm
Yes.
already getting exercise.
Yes.
In my case, I have to get rest because I'm kind of an exercise freak. I've got to allow my body time to recover
Yes.
from
Repair.
the
Mhm.
exercise that I do.
Are you
And
doing weights
it,
too?
I am doing. I am
Okay.
doing.
Good. Okay.
So essentially, I kind of kept my training level when I trained for triathlons. I will I will work out Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday running
Hmm.
and doing weight training.
Good.
And on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I will do swimming. And so on Saturday, I just rest from everything,
Hmm.
to just get
Nice.
a restart
Nice.
so
And
that it
that's
gives my
important.
body. But the most important recent focus was I've been trying to get the most sleep that I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have this Garmin. We have devices that now track your exercise, but they also track your sleep.
Yes.
And it's helpful to be able to see, okay, I get the deepest sleep when it's between these hours or whatever.
Yes.
And I can get to deep sleep quicker if I'm not watching this all the
Yes.
way up until I'm sleep.
Yes.
And
Yes.
whatever stuff like taking magnesium
Mhm.
before I go to bed, which actually seems to keep you a little more regular and helps you rest
Mhm.
more profitably.
Yes.
Those are the changes that I'm making that are non-dietary.
Yes, yes. No, that is great. And just setting yourself up for good sleep, too, because it's the one thing to want it, but I mean, there are things that you can do, conditions you can set by dimming the lights towards the evening, and it kind of gets your body prepared. You turning the temperature down a little bit, making it a little cooler, kind
Yeah,
of get your body prepared, and sleeping, really sleeping with is the least amount of clothes, unrestricted clothes, it helps as well. So all those things are good hacks, but it can strengthen your energy, your immune system. And I mean, your body is constantly warring, fighting against things that are coming in your environment that are trying to make you sick.
right.
And so by fueling, dude, I love this idea, this approach that you have. I mean, you've like flipped the script.
I don't know what the script was looking like the last time we were, you know,
No, but
in the
seriously, you could have
operating
been.
room, but hey, play it. No, but I
No,
know. So because of this scenario, it made me more intentional
yes,
about
yes.
if this is the case
Mm,
and these things can positively affect it, let me do these things. Again, when you give yourself the time and opportunity ahead of time to find out what's going on in my system, what's going
mhm,
on in my body.
mhm,
Oh, I got something that could become something, but now I have options.
mhm.
Oh, if you don't know the significance, talk to the people who are dealing with stage 4 and they had options
Yeah, yeah,
that they didn't exercise in their right window. Now there's still hope for healing,
yeah,
but
yeah.
if you have the choice
Mm,
and you're able, take the time to understand what's going on and then exercise the options that are at your disposal. This fear thing, the fear of hearing bad news, the fear of hearing the condition that you don't want to hear. I don't want to get diabetes, so I don't want to hear it, so I'm not going to the doctor. Like, if you have a pre-diabetic situation, that's that you have a little bit more choices than the diabetic situation,
right.
where now they're removing options, they're removing things that you want, they're removing things that you foods that you want to eat. Now is the best time to do something. So let
Mhm,
me first of all, give hope to the people who have diabetic situations or who have cancer situations. It's like they give you the best options that you have available to you right now. And I do believe in healing.
mhm,
I
mhm,
do believe in miracles, but the first miracle that's got to take place is the miracle in your head,
mhm, mhm,
which is if you if I perform this miracle, what lifestyle do you have in operation that will perpetuate the miracle that you're asking me for?
mm, mhm.
Because if I give you a miracle, but your habits and your lifestyle take you right back to the place of where you got the disease in the first place, then the miracle hasn't done anything for you.
No.
What lifestyle that you have a choice to be able to enact is in place so that the miracle you're asking me for will be perpetuated by your habits and your lifestyle?
Mhm,
And that's across the board. That's not just physical, that's emotional, that's financial. I'm
mm,
asking for a miracle financially. What habits do you have in place that if I were to bless you right now with this miracle, your habits would perpetuate and
mhm,
maintain the miracle that I
mm.
blessed you with? That's the first miracle that's got to happen, and that's in your head.
That's a word. That's a
Yeah.
word. That's a word. Now, I do wanna I do wanna say that there is also the extreme where, I have seen people who, and I'm not knocking natural anything, right? I believe in the healing properties of food, exercise, lifestyle. I believe in that. Cancer is no respecter of person, however. And I have seen people who will try this, be on a faith walk, a journey with this, and will see things are progressing while they're doing this. It's like that story of God, why didn't you save me? Well, I sent this person, I sent this person, so we do have options, particularly when lifestyle and diet and all that is is not working. They're not working. I won't say it's not positioning your body in the best way, because I do feel like even if you have to have treatment, if you even have to have chemo, having the healthiest body to be able to withstand the effects of chemo is better than just eating whatever and treating your body, not getting sleep. So this is good for baseline, right? But it is not at the exclusion of other things if that
Mhm.
is called for at some
Yeah.
point. So I just kind of
The
want to
truth
bring that
is,
up.
I mean, it can we can bring about healing by any means.
Hmm.
And it probably
Yes.
wouldn't be faith for somebody who is completely given to, you know, natural foods and natural, approaches and all that kind of stuff. It may not be it may not be faith if he takes you that way. You may have to exercise more faith going the medical route. That is the truth. And
Mm.
vice versa.
Wow. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
my mother has been a nurse for longer than I've been alive. Sometimes it takes more faith for her to make dietary changes
Hmm.
in the face of all the medicines that
Mm.
she has, because she has more faith and she's seen it and she's operated in that environment
Yeah.
for so long
Yeah.
that it may take more faith to say, you know what, let's make some dietary changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so again, it's
I would
his
agree.
conditions on how he wants to, when he decides to heal.
Yeah. Man, this is
But
so
here's the point. Here's
yes.
the point. Since I have my body, and since I make the calls on my body, why wouldn't I put myself in the best position to have the best outcome
Mhm,
as soon as possible?
mhm,
That's why it's an investment,
mhm,
because we'll spend money on whatever we want. I don't care how much money you have or don't have. You will buy what you want. You
mm,
will find the means and put the means to what's important to you.
mhm, mhm.
It's just that with most people, health is just not, that's something on the back burner.
Yeah,
And then you
yeah,
find out when it comes from the back burner to the front burner, then oh man, I should have slept more. I should have, I got kids, I got a family, I wanted to stay alive. I wasn't expecting such. Now's the time. Now's the time, as you're hearing this, to be able to make those investments in your body so
yeah.
that you can do all the other things that you want to do.
Yeah. No, and just having that mindset, that life or death, because you could have gone the other way. You could have been like, "Oh man, I got this cancer, Lord." Just gone into some type of depression and really a woe is me kind of situation, which would have lowered your immune system and probably made things worse. It's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So the
Yeah.
fact that you flipped it and you're like, this is motivation for me to position myself in the best way to fight this thing. You have done yourself such a service that it is going to manifest in a positive way. So that is so encouraging, man. So yeah.
Yeah. So when I had to finish off, the doctor basically said, "Look, I honestly don't consider this a cancer straight up situation. I consider it a pre-cancer situation."
Wow.
And
Wow.
so I don't even look at it as the technical definition of it. So, and here's why, is because you came in here soon enough, and then we're able to observe and watch, and we're
Mhm,
able to have the foresight to be able to understand what to do, what's
mhm.
working, what's not working. And I had so much peace. I love his non-bedside manner. He got right to the point. And that was the funny thing. My wife was completely turned off, but I was like, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I needed to hear it. Now let me go and do what I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a funny thing. Oh, that's funny. This dude didn't even say goodbye. He looked at us for about 4 seconds and then he got up and left.
Wow.
I was like,
Wow.
this is the funniest meeting I've ever had in my life.
You're like, "I love
I
this
walked out of
guy."
there dying laughing, but with the most hope I've had ever had.
That's amazing. Wow, man. What a
Everybody's
journey,
not you,
man.
Jamil. Everybody ain't you.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. Uh, dude, that is such a great experience, great journey, great story. Thank you for being willing to share that though. You know,
Yes,
not a
man.
lot of people would want to be exposed in that way, but I'm definitely sure that just your testimony alone is going to reach somebody. It's going to make a difference. So thank you for sharing that and give someone
It's
hope.
all worth it.
Yep,
Do
yep, yep. So appreciate that, man. And we'll do it again sometime, man, when you got
it
some a little
again.
bit more time, man. But
Let's
appreciate
do
you,
it
bro.
again. All
All right,
right.
man.